Houston, we have a problem.
We're going to look at the problem of our ancestors, okay? So as you clearly know, you are one person. You have two parents. We know that. Each of those have two parents, correct? These are your grandparents. Each of those have two parents. Thank you for my family tree here, okay? And we know these are our great-grandparents, and so on and so forth, right? So you can take the calculator as you see it, and we can say, well, I have two parents, correct? And I times that by 2 because I have 4 grandparents, correct? And I times that by 2 and I have 8 grandparents, 8 great-grandparents, correct? Right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now those keep doing the same thing, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Okay, so we can get our family tree back and we can just keep hitting this equal button and we can watch how many grandparents we have per generation. Here's another thing. I'm going to call a generation, and I was looking at a site this morning and it called a generation 25 years. I'm not even going to go there, even though I think they're probably more accurate. I'm going to say it's 30 years. What I mean by that, because a lot of people know a generation is 60. Hear me out. We're talking about when those people have children. So I think people have children between 20 and 40. Okay, so I'm just taking the middle spot of 30. What it means is, how old were your parents when they had you? Let's say they're 20 to 30. How old were you when you had your children? 20 to 30. How old were your children when they had their children? So on and so forth. So I think a generation changes every 30 years. Okay? And so what you can do is you can start multiplying that back, and you can say that we know we have 2 parents and times 2. So I had 4 grandparents, and you could even say that that was about, say, 60 years ago. And if I think about me, I was 20 when I had my son. He's now 21. If he had a child, it would be 1. So you've got my son having a child that's 1. 20 years later, my son's born. 20 years before that, I was born. 20 years before that, my dad was born. 20 years before that, my grandfather was born. Now, that's 20, but I still will take 30 and give them the benefit of the doubt here. So what we can do is we can start multiplying 30 by the number of grandparents that we have, okay? And we can figure out how quickly or how many descendants do I have. Let's think, how far back do we want to go? Let's not even go very far back. Let's go 20 generations, okay? 20 generations times 30 years is 600 years, okay? So 600 years ago, we were in the year 2021, and we can go 600 years, okay? And that puts us at 1479, okay? Let's just say, let's pretend it's 2000, easier math, and it's 1400. There we go. Okay, so we're just saying that we're going to the year 1400. Doesn't seem that crazy long ago. 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. So how many ancestors, grandparents, did I have in 1400? So to get back there, we need to do 600 years, which means we need to do 20 generations. So we're going to go with our calculator here, and we're going to do the 20 times. So we're going to say we've got 2 parents, and we're going to times, when I hit 2 and I hit equal, we're going to count that as the first generation. 1, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, 20 generations ago, in the year 1400, I had 2 million grandparents. Don't go crazy. Don't go crazy. Sounds insane, but there's no other way to look at it. And we'll talk about the implications of this in a second. So that's in the year just 1400. Now, let's say we go back instead to, let's go 30 generations, okay? Which times 30 years is going to be 900 years, okay? So 900 years minus our current 2000 would put us at 1100, okay? The dark ages. So how many grandparents did I have? I had 2.2 million in the year 1400. How many did I have in the year 1000? So again, we need to add 10 more generations, right? So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So in the year 1000, I had 2.1 billion grandparents. Hold on a second. We got a problem.
Houston, we have a problem.
Let's look at the world population in 1100. Bring this up for you. Okay, so right now we're at 7. I was taking it at 7, so it's even almost closer to 8. Let's see if we can find the world population history. So this is showing all the way back to 10,000 BC, okay? And let's see what the population was in 1100. So here we go, 1100, right? The population, and this is estimated by a lower guess. One historian puts it at 320 million. 320 million in the year 1100. We have a guess of 301, of 320, of 301. That's the consensus, okay? And that's insanity. That doesn't work. What do you mean? Hold on a second. How can we figure this out? How can I have 2 point something billion grandparents in 1100 if the population is only 320 million? So what you can quickly realize is that there's an issue with all of this, that we're going back too far, right? That number needs to start coming down. At some point in the past, all of your grandparents start to become related. Okay, that's just like in the first two people we talked about. Remember, we had those children that had to have sex together to have more children. The same thing kind of happens. It's probably not a lot of brothers, sisters, but going back, you're going to have a lot of cousins. You're going to have a lot of, but how quickly is that number going to decline? Because even if somewhere in your tree you have two of the same family members, it doesn't adjust that number very big. It's just now you lose one set. So you can't multiply by 2.2, but it'd be 1.999. And everybody that you can keep throwing them in there, but that number needs to come down drastically. Because to me, I can't even see there being, at some point, if my ancestors match the population, so would everybody's, right? So does that seem right? Meaning, if we found where that number is, where we match the population, couldn't we start to make a guess that possibly before that is when we started having the intermarrying and the number should come down, right? Because it can't be, because it could be equal, but we know that you didn't start with a bunch of people. We know that it didn't just poo, and now there's 10,000 people in the world. We know that didn't happen. So there's something wrong here. And we'll try and figure out if we can get that number. That number's tough to come by. Like I said, most people think that number's 25, not 30. So we could do that number too. We could say, let's just go back 20 generations times 25 years. Okay. So that's only 500 years. 500 years, that is 20 generations times 25 years. Okay. It's 500 years. So that puts us at the year 1500. So in the year 1500, now again, we're going to do 20 generations. So we're going to do 2 grandparents times 2. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, so we have that 2 million grandparents in 1500. Now, here's the crazy thing. That's not that long ago. But this is what they've done by giving you a fake history. And remember, around this time, and we're just going based off what we're told, was the printing press the first time that people could read or write. Really, the first time the Bible was put out there. Now, you might say, no, Jaron, the Bible was around in 400 AD, and you can believe whatever you want. Okay, you can believe whatever you want. People did not know how to read and write in the year 400 AD. There was no printing press. There would have been, if we were even giving them that time period, everything was written by scribes. None of those books exist. None of those books remain. People fail to realize that. The oldest book we can reliably date is about 800 years old, 700 years old at the best. And that's ridiculous because we're told about all these guys of antiquity. Let me show you one other thing that brings us back to the fact that you've been grossly lied to and nobody even cares. Remember what we've learned with what's going on in the world right now? That some people in very high positions that are paid good money to do what they do, and we respect them and we think that they're very smart, and they are. They learn to go to medical school and they learn to do studies on cadavers and those kind of things, right? But we also know that they only know what they're told to do. They only know what they've been taught. They're not out-of-the-box thinkers because that's not what promotes you through school. There's no benefit to you being an out-of-box thinker. And if you think about that, you start to realize that historians are no different. People who think they know what happened in the past, history is nothing but a lie told by the winners. We know that as well. How do we know that? There's all kinds of evidence that. How about the entire written history of Germany being invaded by Rome? Rome has all kinds of writings about it, but guess who doesn't? Germany. Isn't that weird? Nobody from Germany wrote down, oh, Rome invaded it? No. So if you think about history, history is a written, agreed upon story that obviously is written by the winners. The winners aren't going to go in there and be like, we got our ass kicked today. We lost a bunch of, no.